This video is going to explain how to use Pythagoras theorem to find the non-hypotenuse side of a right-angled triangle. So by the end of the video, you will be able to calculate the length of the smaller side using Pythagoras theorem of a right-angled triangle. So recapping, when we've got a right-angled triangle, we can label our hypotenuse side, so the side that is opposite the right angle is our C value side, and then our two smaller sides, it's A and B. So it is one of these smaller sides that we are going to use Pythagoras theorem to be able to find the length of in this video. So our standard Pythagoras theorem formula that we use to find the hypotenuse is C squared equals A squared plus B squared. But to be able to find one of the smaller sides, so a non-hypotenuse side, we want to know what is A or what is B, depending on how we label the triangle. So we take our standard A squared plus B squared equals C squared formula, and we move one of our values, so B value, over to the right-hand side. And we do that by doing the opposite. So at the moment we are adding B squared, so the opposite of adding B squared is subtracting B squared. And I need to do that to both sides. So A squared is equal to C squared minus B squared. So this is the formula now that we use when we are finding a non-hypotenuse side. So when we're finding one of the smaller sides. So the steps to be able to complete that calculation is the same as if we're finding the hypotenuse side. We start off with writing the formula, but this time it's going to be A squared equals C squared minus B squared. Then we're going to substitute in the values from the question. We're going to calculate our A squared value. We're going to square root both sides and calculate and write the final answer. So let's have a look at an example of how do we apply these steps to calculate a non-hypotenuse side in a right-angled triangle. So in our example, we have a right-angled triangle. We got a hypotenuse side of 16, and we've got a non-hypotenuse side of 9, and we want to find the length of the other hypotenuse side. So the first step is going to be to write the formula. So A squared equals C squared minus B squared. Then I'm going to substitute in the values from the question. So my C value is 16 and my B value is 9. So R squared, which I'm using instead of A, taking it from the question, is equal to 16 squared minus 9 squared. Now it is really important that our hypotenuse value, or our bigger value, comes first. If it doesn't come first and we had 9 squared minus 16 squared, we would end up with a negative number, which we can't use in our rest of our calculations. So making sure that our C squared value, in this case 16, comes first. So 16 squared minus 9 squared. So calculate my R squared value. So R squared is going to equal to 175. I'm going to square root both sides. So R is going to equal to the square root of 175, which equals to 13.23 meters. So my non-hypotenuse side is equal to 13.32 meters. So let's have a look at a second example. In the second example, I have a right-angled triangle. It has a hypotenuse side of 14 and a non-hypotenuse side of 8. And I want to find my missing third side, being the second non-hypotenuse side. So following my 5 steps, first step, write the formula. A squared equals C squared minus B squared. Then substitute in the values from the question. So my C squared value of 14, my B value of 8. So A squared is equal to 14 squared minus 8 squared. So A squared is going to equal to 132. Square root both sides. So A is going to equal to the square root of 132, which equals to 11.49 centimeters. So the missing length of my right-angled triangle is 11.49 centimeters squared. And a check that we can do when we're calculating the non-hypotenuse side is that it needs to be smaller than the hypotenuse. So here my hypotenuse is 14. My answer of 11.49 is smaller, so I can check on that common sense check. So my missing side in example 2 was 11.49 centimeters. Having a look at my last example, I've got a right angled triangle. My hypotenuse side is 47.2. My non-hypotenuse side is 30.1. And I want to find side S being my second non-hypotenuse side. So first I'm going to write the formula, a squared equals c squared minus b squared. Then I'm going to substitute in my values. My c value is 47.2. My v value is 30.1. So s squared is going to equal to 47.2 squared minus 30.1 squared. So calculating my a squared value, so s squared is going to equal to 1321.83. I need to square root both sides. So s is going to equal to the square root of 1321.83, which equals to 36.36 units. So the missing side s in my right angle triangle is 36.36 units. So there are some examples of how do we rearrange the hypotenuse formula to be able to find a non-hypotenuse side.